Oh, okay. We have more Pixel talk. I actually we'll talk about this. I'll ask you guys in chat too. But this article from Talk Android is talking about how Google is they're going to be getting rid of the Google Assistant, the squeeze for Assistant. Where's my Pixel 4? That's how much I don't use it lately. Is Oh shit, I just dropped my stuff. Okay, it's right here. So are you guys, I don't know if you guys own a Pixel. For you guys that do, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? When you squeeze the I'm trying to put this, when you squeeze the bottom part of this phone here, Google Assistant comes up, which is, I have used it in the past, but I don't use it often. And I know Brian has used it, or Brian still uses it. But let me ask you guys, everyone else in the chat who's used it, as far as that squeeze for Google Assistant, do you guys use that? Is that something that's handy for you? For me, it hasn't been. But it looks like for the 4A, they're going to be getting rid of it. And if they do this, they might be getting rid of it for the Pixel 5 as well, maybe. We talked about this yesterday, but they're going to be getting rid for the Pixel 5, they're going to be getting rid of the solely radar chip. So no more motion sense. I don't know who's missing motion sense, but that's going to be gone. And maybe what Google's going to do now is they're going to start going for a no frills kind of deal. Maybe go back to what they used to do, but we'll see. It's been a feature of Google smartphones since the days of the Pixel 2 and 2 XL, but it seems that the upcoming Pixel 4a will launch without the ability to squeeze its sides to activate Google Assistant. It's a feature that used to annoy the heck out of me until I disabled it, but for some, it's likely the demise of a function that they are fond of. So this tweet here by Michelle Michelle Raman can confirm that ActiveEdge is not available on Julio Lusan's Pixel 4a. Julio Lusan, I think, is that one YouTuber who has all those videos of the 4A. I think he got a pre-production model somehow, and he's been pumping out videos out of that. Not a huge loss, especially since Google is adding a new double tap gesture that doesn't require special hardware. Actually, I haven't had a chance to talk about that. Have you guys heard about that? This double tap gesture on the Pixel on Pixel phones. I actually don't know too much about that. Actually, I want to see if we can dig into that. We can confirm that the following gestures are available through the new Columbus feature: dismiss a timer, launch the camera. So it could do a bunch of stuff, but here's a video showing the double tap gesture, playing, pausing media on a Pixel 2 XL running Android 11. Yeah, so he's just double tapping the rear, which I think is a pretty cool feature. Here's a video of me launching the Google Camera app on my Pixel 2 XL. That's pretty cool. I mean, obviously we all have the power button on the side, right, to launch the camera, but I would love that double tap to wake. I think that would be great. Well, anyway, let me go back here. So the one thing that I was actually going to talk about is the squeeze feature. The reason I don't use the Google Assistant, the reason I don't use the squeeze for Google Assistant feature is because I don't really use Google Assistant as much as I used to. I don't know why. I think if I ever need anything, I just check it up on my phone. There are times when I just don't feel like talking, right? Uh, for someone that talks a lot on stream, I do this shit daily. Maybe that's why I don't like talking much outside of the streams. But what I really would have liked for the squeeze feature is if they gave us customizability. Because the one thing that I would have used for the squeeze edges feature is to turn on the goddamn flashlight. The one thing that I hate the most is having to turn my screen on or whatever to turn the flashlight on. And I would have loved that squeeze feature just to turn the flashlight on, because we don't have motos anymore. I mean, unless you have a moto, they still kept those, right? Where you could chop the phone twice to turn on the flashlight, which honestly I used a lot of the times when I had my Moto X Pure. But yeah, so it looks like they're going to be getting rid of it. The news comes courtesy of Julio Lusan, who managed to get some hands-on time with a pre-production Pixel 4a and discovered the omission of the Active Edge function. This was also confirmed by 9 to 5 Google's Stephen Hall on his personal Twitter account, with the Pixel 4a likely to be able to trigger the Google Assistant by pressing the power button. Is the omission of Active Edge really a huge loss? With that in mind, is it a feature you might consider to be a deal breaker if you were looking to buy the Pixel 4a when it launches next month? I'd be surprised if people say that that is a deal breaker for them, that they wouldn't buy a Pixel because they got rid of Active Edge. But I could be wrong. Maybe people actually love using that, but it's something that I haven't used in a long time. It's on my phone. I never turned it off, but you'll be hard pressed for me to, that's a bad pun. I really didn't. But yeah, you'll be hard pressed for me to use it. I use my squeeze all the time. It's just faster. Yeah, see, so I know there are people who do use it. Ronaldo does love it. Well, Ronaldo, let me ask you then, is that a deal breaker, or would you just be really upset if they didn't have it on the Pixel 5? And Brian says it too. I use squeezology feature. Tectonic says I could live without it, and I do use it here and there. A lot of you guys use it. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Deepak says I love those moto gestures. So do I, man. So do I. Yeah, Ronaldo says if they got rid of it, I wouldn't be mad. But yeah, I can see how you guys have used it. Yeah, I feel like I'm in the minority here since I'm not the one that does use it, and you guys have been. So, okay, we went through this already, but let's also talk about getting rid of stuff. This other article, I had it segue into this, and this article from 9 to 5 Google is talking about that the Galaxy Note 20 Plus camera will apparently ditch 100 times zoom, keep 108 megapixel camera. So Google's getting rid of the Active Edge feature, and the Galaxy Note 20 Plus is now getting rid of this 100 times zoom feature, which I think a lot of us have figured out was pretty shit to begin with. Okay, so let's go into it. Samsung's Galaxy S20 Ultra has a disappointing camera setup, and one of the biggest things Samsung has been advertising about the Array is its 100 times zoom capabilities. And I almost bought into this, guys. I almost spent $1,400 on this phone. Luckily, I didn't have the money to buy it, so I just got to hear the shitstorm about this phone later. $1,400. That's a lot of money for a phone that's going to have camera issues. Clearly, though, the company agrees that the results aren't great, as the Galaxy Note 20 Plus apparently won't ship with 100 times zoom. The Galaxy S20 and S20 Plus both shipped with digital zoom that maxed out at 30 times. That's more than most smartphones offer, but with the Galaxy S20 Ultra, a periscope zoom lens allowed Samsung to zoom in even farther at 100 times. On all three phones, though, zoom at that level just doesn't look good, making it a little confusing why Samsung bothered including the higher levels and advertising it so heavily. Making it a little confusing. Why? The reason that they did it is because Samsung wants to boast that it has 100 times zoom, that it has 108 megapixel camera, because for them it's about dick measuring. It's a pissing contest. When the iPhone 11 Pro, which is probably one of the best cameras to date, has a 12 megapixel camera, and then these guys are boasting about 108 megapixels and they're having issues up the ass. That's why it's not confusing. They're trying to brag about how big their dick is. And it's not that impressive, guys. Now it's rumored that the Galaxy Note 20 Plus will abandon the highest zoom levels entirely. Ice Universe says the Samsung isn't bringing 100 times zoom to the Galaxy Note 20 Plus. There aren't many concrete rumors about the camera array on that device, but it's expected to retain the 108 megapixel camera and have some form of zoom sensor. That 108 megapixel sensor too will apparently implement some hardware changes to fix autofocus issues. I so it's not just Google making mistakes. All companies do, but can you imagine the balls on a company to release a $1,400 phone and to have fuck ups like that? I'm sure there's going to be a good amount of people who are going to be like, my phone doesn't have issues. My $1,400 phone doesn't have issues. I never have any of those autofocus issues that these guys are complaining about. And maybe you don't, but maybe you also don't use the camera as often as some other people do. I could be wrong. But I also cannot justify spending $1,400 for a phone. And to see that 100 times zoom being taken away, that was one of their main points on selling that phone. That was a big marketing thing for Samsung. And maybe the people who bought that phone fell for it. I mean, fuck, I almost fell for it. I'm glad I didn't spend that money. Last night, the first design leaks of the Galaxy Note 20 also hit the web to show off the basic design Samsung is aiming for with this upcoming device. That design, too, left 3 cutouts for camera sensors. Oh, that's it. So Ice Universe says here, Note 20 series no longer retains 100 times zoom function, and also says we'll still use 108 megapixel HM1, but add a new sensor to assist in focusing and completely solve the focusing problem, a problem that they should have never had in the first place. This 20 Ultra. What's confusing for me is this Note 20 that's going to be coming out, because how big is this Note 20? How big is this Note 20 going to be? Or is it just going to be an updated S20? Or are they just going to be bigger? Is the Note 20 going to be bigger than the S20 Ultra? Because goddamn, how big is a phone going to get at this point? I don't know.